Okay, the first episode of the $68 billion question, the podcast for Loqol. Loqol is our startup we're building for FSBO owners to sell their home without a real estate agent. And the idea is to first start with an MLS listing tool that will list your home through our AI chat or voice prompting. And eventually we'll introduce the full agentic experience of the AI agent, real estate agent, doing the entire transaction for you. And that's the goal. We're going to replace the real estate agent. We're going to have no commissions. It'll be a flat fee structure. And the goal is to become, a competitor to this antiquated market. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about this $68 billion commissions paid every year out of homeowners' pockets to real estate agents. It's insane. And this is the first episode. Okay, so I asked GPT to tell us the history of why there is a commission. So it's a good segue into this, how the whole industry started, why the NAR exists, which is the National Association of Realtors. Why are we paying 5 to 6% in commissions, things like that, all that relate to the $68 billion question, right? Why paying? All right, really quick. I'm not going to go in deep. Pre-1900s, there was no standard commission. 1908, formation of the National Association of Realtors. This is early. It's 100 years old. That's why they're all these people who are trying to disrupt the industry right now are talking about how this is a century-old model that hasn't changed. And I think that's kind of what we're going to get to the crux of throughout this whole podcast, is challenging the ideas that have been in place for so long. 1940s to 1950s, 6% commission becomes the norm. It's pretty interesting. 70s, 80s, government starts paying attention. DOJ, Department of Justice, begins investigating anti-competitive. 1990s, buyer's agent becomes common. That's interesting. I didn't know that. That's fairly recent if you think about it. 1990s is when buyer's agents came in. That's crazy. 2000s, rise of discount brokerages and FSBO tools. I mean, we're not even that late. I mean, that's 25 years ago. That's not that long ago when you think about that. And I have heard data support that back in the 80s, people were selling their home on their own frequently, but it was all pre-buyers agents. So they would have to do a lot of their own work, I guess, is what was happening. They had their one agent, but I don't know. That's what I've heard before. Redfin was introduced in 2004. Didn't know that. ForSaleByOwner.com, Zillow, 2006. Commission structures remain largely unchanged. Okay, yeah. NAR, and this is the 2000s, NAR creates policies that make it really hard for FSBOs to get full access to the MLSs. I didn't know that. I mean, that's where we're at today. That was like 2000s. That was, 2005 or 6 when Zillow was created, I think. The NAR and the brokerages for collusion and keeping prices high, keeping commissions high. So great segue into the $68 billion commission. I wouldn't call it scam, but I would say a massive number that people are paid every year. As I've learned more and more, these scare tactics and the complication, the lack of transparency to understand what you're even doing and all the forms you're signing. Now you have to trust. They built it so you have to trust your agent, or else you're going to spend, on average, a homeowner will spend 6 hours on documents when they sell their home. So that's a pretty crazy stat. So the non-commingling rule was put in place by the MLSs, and I think NAR actually authored it. Yes, they did actually. The NAR authored the non-commingling rule, saying that if you are selling your home without an agent, you could not be on the MLS. Or be near an MLS. So like in the case of Zillow I think it was 6 years ago, actually had your home, like for sale by owner listings up on the same page as agent listings. The NAR put in the non-commingling rule. So then Zillow had to create a separate tab for FSBO listings. And obviously the agent listings are on the front page because that's how Zillow makes all their money. So now there's this huge fight happening. The NAR is getting rid of the non-commingling rule. Zillow has taken it back to for 5-6 years ago, whatever it was, to become now the FSBO listings are up on the front page, which it's all really crazy because Zillow wants the ability to decide how things get listed. It's insane. There is an artificial propping up of commissions that they validate. You can't get on the MLS without an agent. You can't get your home listed out and syndicated out to all these things. So it matters for homeowners. They need to be able to get their home visible. And if they can't, so that lack of access, the gatekeeping, that restricts all these homeowners from getting their homes out there, which is, you don't need to do too much marketing to sell your home. It's going to be local buyers that know your home and know you. It's going to be maybe if it's a place where international buyers are coming in, they're going to look on these portals. And I think I read a stat: 98% of all homes were found by the home buyer on Zillow or on a platform like Zillow. And so you're seeing these, they're requiring you to go on the MLS as an agent, Zillow now too, so that they can gatekeep these listings and say there's a value that they're creating. And I think as you see the upheaval in all these antitrust lawsuits, non-commingling rules, MLS restrictions, things like that, consumers are now, like homeowners and home buyers, are now realizing there are these things out there that aren't good for them. And before, nobody's been talking about it. So people have just been placated into using agents. Now they're reading all these really big headlines about how the NAR isn't doing anything for anybody and just like sitting on their private jets flying around the country. The MLSs restrict everybody. Like, so now I think homeowners and home buyers are really starting to, I think that's the consumer behavior change we're looking at capturing as a company launching a product to capture the upheaval and craziness that's happening right now. And so now that consumers are aware of this, that helps our job to like convince them to use a platform like ours or any other platform, right? Do it on your own if you have the time and the money, or not even, you don't need the money. It's not expensive, but you have the time to educate yourself and you can sell your home on your own now. You always have been able to. Just people don't have that time. And they also are a little scared because all the restrictions make you scared that you're going to do it wrong, which is not even that big of a deal. I think the question is, how much value does an agent bring you? And I've been talking to people here. I just talked to a friend of mine and he was like, we had 2 high-end realtors come into us to pitch why we should use them to buy the next home. And we looked at them straight up and said, we don't understand the value you would get, because they were buying a very expensive home. We don't understand why you would get paid that much money. And so if that high-end level of customer is starting to question that, I think that filters down to everyone, and probably more so even on the lower tier homes and home buyers, home sellers. So it's really interesting. Okay, I think we don't need to go too much longer. Couple data points that I picked up. I think it's just interesting to kind of end with this maybe. We know the $68 billion is like your equity that you've built for the last on average 7 to 10 years you've lived in your home. On average, a homeowner sells their home every 7 to 10 hours. Yeah. You built that equity. Some forever, they've lived there forever and they're selling it or they're moving or whatever. You've spent all this time fixing it up, putting in sweat equity, and then you're giving a huge amount of that money back to an agent instantly, just to like show your home, schedule a few offers, or the offers to you, because you have to sign off of them. And then what else are they doing really? Maybe giving you guidance, not things that can't be replaced. Right? On average, $20,000 to $30,000 per home is paid out for just listing, unlocking a door, and forwarding offers. I wrote these down. 90% of sellers still go the route. 1 out of 10 people sell on their own. 9 out of 10 sell with an agent still to this day. And I think that's the change that we have to enact. I mean, just to sum it up, $68 billion in commission is an insane amount. It's a great market cap for us to go after and hopefully disrupt this industry as we go after it. All right, well, good first episode, and we'll keep it going.